All right, guys. So I sent you that email earlier in the week and talked about strong forms of intimidation and weak forms of intimidation. We were thinking about the World Cup and surrounding the ref. So I'm wondering, how do you guys classify that? How did you guys think through that based on those definitions?
So for me, as a coach and as a high school teacher, it's something that I feel like has on some level is probably the highest form of intimidation, because I think that it's players using their status as players, their size as professional athletes, in a way to intimidate the guy who is in charge of the game. And it's hard for me to have my players or my students seeing this, and players aren't getting thrown out, players aren't being fined or reprimanded, so it's becoming an acceptable practice. And that's something that's really concerning to me. I mean, you think about, like, if you watch an NBA basketball game, I mean, players get technical fouls called on them if they look at the ref in the wrong way. In baseball, if you argue a ball or a strike, hey, that's too far outside, you shouldn't call that a strike, they'll throw you out of a game. And you get fined, you get suspended. These guys are actually, putting hands on officials. I've talked to some referees that are pro-level referees and good referees, but they don't like the idea of being bullied or intimidated, and so they've taken themselves out of the middle of the field. So they've become assistant referees on the sidelines, or even that fourth official that doesn't really deal with anybody but coaches, because they don't like being put in the position where somebody is intimidating with that real kind of that pressure, like, hey, if you don't see it my way, this could be bad for you. I mean, that's me. I'm biased.
Especially in a sport like soccer, where there's one referee in the middle and there's 22 players on the field. It really has a mob mentality. Because every other sport, there's multiple referees on the field. The only referees on the field to play is just the one. So that large number adds to that intimidation factor.
Oh yeah, I mean, going to that Colombia-England game, that was like, you almost feared for the safety of that referee.
Oh, for sure.
Whatever he was calling fouls against Colombia.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's definitely a form of strong intimidation.
Now, you're a former referee, but you're a fit guy. You're big. Like, how do you feel about? I mean, are you more inclined to want to protect referees more, or do you feel like that's just part of the game?
I think it's kind of up to the referee. I think there should be more of a movement of going to what you talked about for basketball, like technical, as soon as like there's dissension, like start showing more yellow cards.
For sure.
I think at that professional level, because then that will trickle down to the lower levels, because they're seeing the referees actually stand up for themselves.
Yeah.
And start carding people that are coming at them.
I mean, I think in high school they feel it, and it might be because they're dealing with kids.
Right.
But I mean, you'll see that, a kid will say something and they'll give them a card when, I mean, they very easily could give them a red card, and sometimes they'll do them a favor and only give them a yellow card. But like on that professional level, if you sit close enough, you can hear some of the things that they'll say. And I don't know, it's intense. It's intense, and I think it is a designed intimidation factor. Yeah. And I think that, I know tempers flare, and the passion is high in the middle of a professional game when your livelihood's on the line, maybe the way that they see it. But like, it's just, it can't be seen as acceptable practice to stand over a referee, to chest bump, to grab them, to turn around, to like wave a finger in their face. I mean, that's not okay behavior for us as coaches to do to somebody. So,
or in just general public, like,
right.
Yeah. Where as educators, we're trying to model that behavior that translates to the real world.
For sure.
Like, maybe 0.1% of our players that we ever have will go on and play professional soccer.
Correct.
So we're trying to teach them to be better citizens.
Oh,
so modeling that behavior and then like reprimanding that behavior.
Agreed.
So what I'm hearing that I appreciate, because I don't know that I saw it this way at first, but listening to you guys talk through it, because of the intensity of the intimidation that's there, this is definitely a strong version of intimidation. It's not adding to the value of the sport that we're playing. It's degrading the refs. It's degrading actually the other players that are on the field, you know, to your point, there's 22 of them there. But I think you guys bring up some good points. Like, we don't accept this, and we're modeling this behavior. And so, like, by us maybe being a good example for our players, they can see that on a day in and day out basis, as opposed to like